You've probably been told, your whole life that the butterflies in your stomach are like a surefire sign you've met the right person.
Right. It's the classic romantic ideal.
Exactly. That fluttering, kind of anxious energy is just culturally celebrated as this undeniable proof of romance.
Oh, absolutely.
But what if I told you that your nervous system isn't actually falling in love, but it's actually panicking?
Yeah, that's the wild part.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're pulling from this really fascinating interview between Chris Williamson and therapist Mercedes Coffman.
It's such a great conversation.
It really is. And we are looking directly at you, the listener, and trying to decode the actual, hidden mechanics of why navigating the modern dating landscape leaves you feeling just completely exhausted.
Because it does. It leaves almost everyone exhausted.
Right. We're going to break down how what they call avoidant culture is actively hacking your primitive biology. And perhaps most surprisingly, why the most emotionally available, really empathetic people are consistently the ones who suffer the most in the system.
Yeah, we have to move past that really generic, cliche advice of, just put yourself out there.
Oh, I hate that phrase.
Right. Because that phrase completely ignores the reality of the ecosystem we're actually operating in. Today, we're looking at the clash between this hyper-modern, high-speed environment and our very ancient, highly sensitive nervous systems.
Okay, let's unpack this. We really have to start with the environment itself, because before we even talk about biology, we're operating inside platforms that are structurally engineered to reward avoidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We live in an era of pure immediacy.
Right.
And the architecture of modern dating apps actually dictates human behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, these platforms are designed for novelty and dopamine.
Yeah.
You swipe, you get a new match, you get that hit of validation. By constantly supplying new faces daily, the app just completely removed the necessity for gradual character development.
You don't have to work through anything.
No, you don't have to work through a misunderstanding with someone. You just, swipe to the next flawless profile.
It's like we've turned human connection into Uber Eats or Amazon Prime.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. Like we expect next day delivery on intimacy. We want the finished product, the relationship just dropped off at our front door. And we want to entirely skip the awkward character development part of the movie.
Which is really the very definition of avoidant culture.
Right.
Avoidance isn't just about avoiding a specific person. It is the systemic avoidance of anything requiring discomfort or time or consistency.
Because genuine intimacy requires friction.
Yes. It requires those awkward conversations, the inevitable misunderstandings, and the really messy work of repairing them. The apps just strip that friction away entirely.
And according to Kaufman, that frictionless environment creates a totally brutal dynamic.
It really does.
It heavily rewards emotionally unavailable people. Like, if someone just wants a quick dopamine hit with zero effort, the apps are a playground.
Exactly.
But if you are an emotionally available person looking for, the slow burn of a real connection, the system actively punishes you.
Because it forces this race to the bottom.
Right.
Emotionally available people face this impossible choice. You either lower your standards just to maintain a connection with someone who is giving you the bare minimum.
So common.
Right? Or you endure so much fatigue and casual cruelty that you simply burn out and drop out of the dating pool entirely.
Wow.
The people who are the most prepared to build a healthy relationship are actually the ones most likely to be driven away by the environment.
Because the environment measures all the wrong things.
Completely.
The apps advertise completely surface-level traits. We are out here filtering humans by their age, their job title, or, whether they like dogs or hiking. We're picking partners based on criteria that have literally nothing to do with relationship survival.
Right. We just completely ignore the gold standard metrics of long-term compatibility.
Yeah.
Like an app won't tell you someone's capacity for conflict repair. It doesn't measure emotional maturity.
No, not at all.
It doesn't tell you if this person has the emotional regulation to sit through an uncomfortable conversation without withdrawing or shutting down or getting defensive.
So if the environment is built for quick hits of novelty, that speed has to be doing something to us physically.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like it biochemically hijacks our ability to actually see the person standing in front of us.
That is exactly where the internal mechanics meet that external environment. In early dating, especially when there's intense physical chemistry, your brain enters a literal hormonal fever dream.
The fever dream.
Yeah, the neurochemistry of a new crush is just staggering.
Yeah.
Your dopamine, which is the chemical associated with reward and motivation, just skyrockets.
Right.
But at the exact same time, your serotonin levels plummet.
Wait, I get why dopamine makes us excited, but why does the serotonin drop matter so much?
Because serotonin is your brain's primary regulator of calm, mood stability, and satisfaction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When serotonin plummets, you lose your sense of peace. That chemical void is actually what causes those obsessive, intrusive thoughts.
Like when you can't stop checking your phone.
Exactly. It's why you keep checking to see if they texted. Your brain is essentially experiencing a chemical deficit, and it temporarily kills your frontal lobe's ability to be discerning.
So you're literally intoxicated.
You are. And Coffman points out this leads to highly specific behavioral traps.
Like what?
Well, for example, due to societal and evolutionary conditioning, women often fall into the trap of trusting words over behaviors.
Oh, okay, right.
A man might be incredibly inconsistent, like disappearing for days, but he comes back and says, I'm just so stressed and busy right now.
And she believes it.
Because her serotonin is low,
Right.
and she is craving that dopamine hit to relieve the anxiety, so she minimizes her own needs to keep the attachment.
Wow.
She trusts the script he's reading rather than the reality of his behavior.
That plays right into what the source material calls the Kanye West distortion field.
Yes, I love that analogy.
Or, the beautiful people distortion field. Like, a Kanye West song can be so sonically incredible that a whole stadium of people completely forgets his controversies for 3 minutes.
Exactly.
Extreme physical beauty or intense chemistry does the exact same thing. It just creates sensory overload.
That is the perfect way to visualize it.
Mm-hmm.
The chemistry is so loud, like the bass at a stadium concert, that you literally cannot hear the fire alarm going off in the building.
Right.
Your frontal lobe is blinded. You excuse toxic sleep-ruining behavior because the physical chemistry just overwhelms your warning systems.
But, okay, let me push back on this for a second because I feel like we're treating our biology like it's a glitch.
Okay, fair.
Isn't this biochemical blindness exactly what human evolution designed us to do? Like, didn't millions of years of evolution explicitly conspire to put rose-colored glasses on us, lower our serotonin, and spike our dopamine just long enough to ensure we reproduce?
Oh, absolutely.
So shouldn't we cut ourselves some slack for missing the red flags when our literal DNA is demanding that we ignore them?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you are absolutely right about the evolutionary drive. Evolution only cares about attachment and reproduction.
Right.
It does not care if you are happy, and it certainly doesn't care if you have a healthy, communicative partnership.
Wow. Yeah.
But the universe didn't just give us a primitive limbic system. It also gave us a highly developed frontal lobe.
The logic center.
Exactly, the logic center. The part of the brain that can pause, observe the data, and say, yes, this chemistry is electric, but this person's inconsistency is going to destroy my peace of mind.
Right.
The tragic flaw of modern dating is that we confuse desire with capacity.
Say more about that.
Someone might genuinely want a relationship with you. Their desire is totally real. But if they lack the work-life balance, the emotional regulation, or just the psychological fuel to sustain it,
It's gonna fail.
right, the relationship will inevitably collapse, no matter how strong that initial evolutionary pull was.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because if our brains are so easily tricked by a pretty face and a spike of dopamine, then our entire cultural concept of love at first sight is built on a biological error message.
It really is.
What we romanticize as a deep, passionate connection is often just limerence.
Yes. Limerence is one of the most destructive and misunderstood phenomena in modern romance.
Totally.
It is an emotional fixation fueled almost entirely by uncertainty. When someone is inconsistent, your brain becomes obsessed with trying to figure them out in order to create certainty and safety.
The stats on this blew my mind.
They're shocking.
The source material notes that limerence affects 64% of people, with 32% reaching the level of full-person addiction.
Wow.
Like, a third of people literally become addicted to the distress of another human being.
And it disproportionately targets specific personality types, too.
Oh, right.
Highly intuitive, feeling introverts like the INFPs and INFJs of the world, and individuals with an anxious attachment style are incredibly susceptible to this.
But why them? Why does an intuitive introvert fall into that trap more easily?
Because their dominant cognitive trait is the ability to build really rich, complex internal worlds.
No, I see.
When an emotionally unavailable person gives them breadcrumbs, like a text here, a vague compliment there, These intuitive types use their immense capacity for empathy and imagination to fill in the gaps.
Right.
They aren't falling in love with the reality of the person. They are falling in love with the potential they've painted onto a blank canvas.
Hang on. The intermittent texts, like sometimes they reply immediately, sometimes they ghost you for 4 days, that is a variable reward schedule. That's a literal slot machine.
Exactly.
We are interacting with humans the exact same way a gambler interacts with a casino.
A casino engineered to keep you pulling the lever.
Yeah.
And when someone pulls away or ghosts you, you experience literal micro-grief.
Let's translate that. That's the sinking heavy feeling in your chest when you see they've read your message but haven't replied for 8 hours.
Yes. That isn't just sadness. That is your body interpreting silence as abandonment.
Wow.
It dumps cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone, straight into your bloodstream. Your heart rate increases, your digestion slows down, your anxiety just spikes.
All from a text message.
Right. And then your brain fixates on the person, not because they are your soulmate, but because a text from them is the only dopamine hit that will soothe that massive cortisol spike.
And we culturally label that agonizing cortisol loop as passion.
We do.
Look at movies like The Notebook.
Oh, the classic example.
Right. The protagonist chooses the volatile, emotionally unstable roller coaster over the stable, decorated, emotionally available war veteran. We're systematically conditioned to believe that stability is boring and nervous system dysregulation is true love.
We really have to stop choosing the fantasy over the reality of the person standing right in front of us.
So who is most likely to choose that fantasy and completely ignore their own needs?
Paradoxically, it's the empathetic, nice people.
Right. The people who are trying the hardest to do the right thing are the ones getting crushed.
The nice trap is incredibly common. Empathic people frequently self-abandon.
Yeah.
They will habitually prioritize the comfort of others over their own psychological safety.
And Coffman traces this back to childhood trauma, but it's a very subtle form of trauma. It's the unpredictability of praise.
Exactly.
If a child grows up in a household where they don't know what specific behaviors earn them love, like maybe the parents are moody or the rules constantly change, that child develops a hypervigilant nervous system. They grow up constantly trying to read the room, adjusting their personality to manage the emotions of the adults around them just to feel safe.
Which leads to a profound observation by Dr. Gabor Mate regarding eulogies.
Oh, right. This was fascinating.
People will stand up at a funeral and praise someone by saying, you know, he was so selfless, he'd give the shirt off his back to a stranger, he never asked for anything.
Yeah, the ultimate compliment, right?
Right. But what society ignores is that relentless self-abandonment has a devastating physical cost.
Wow.
Suppressing your own needs chronically suppresses your immune system. It increases systemic inflammation, and it frequently leads to early mortality.
I have to play the skeptic here, though.
Okay, go for it.
Society absolutely needs people who are willing to carry the load. Being the endlessly understanding friend or the accommodating partner is a genuinely pro-social trait.
Yeah.
Like, if everyone stopped being nice and only cared about their own boundaries, things would just fall apart. Isn't this extreme empathy just what it means to be a good person?
This raises an important question. But there's a massive difference between a conscious, healthy choice to be generous and an unconscious trauma response.
Okay, that makes sense.
As Coffman points out, suffering breeds compassion. This extreme, boundaryless niceness often originates from a profoundly wounded place. These individuals feel illegitimate anger and resentment when they are mistreated, but they domesticate their rage into sadness.
They domesticate their rage.
Yes. They swallow their anger so they remain palatable.
Wow.
They transform their totally justified anger into a quiet, sad acceptance so the other person doesn't have to feel uncomfortable.
So they protect the other person.
Exactly. It allows the person mistreating them to avoid accountability entirely. Society relies on these people to play their assigned roles.
Right.
We love the endlessly accommodating friend because it's deeply convenient for us. But by demanding they stay in that role, we strip them of the flexibility to just be complex human beings with their own limits.
So what does this all mean? If our empathy is being weaponized against us and our primitive biology is actively working against our frontal lobe in a high-speed app culture...
We need a tactical defense mechanism.
Exactly. And the source material outlines the M.O.P framework. This is really the actionable part of the deep dive. M.O.P is designed explicitly to slow down early dating and keep that frontal lobe online.
Right. So the M stands for match effort. When that intense chemistry hits, the anxious urge is to overinvest. You want to give 150% to secure the connection so they don't abandon you.
Totally.
You have to fight that urge. If they send one text a day, you do not send a 3-paragraph emotional check-in.
Right, match the energy.
Exactly. If they take a step forward, you take a step forward. If they pull back, you stay grounded and let them pull back. You mirror the investment to protect your energy.
Then there's the O, which is observe patterns.
Because you cannot possibly assess a human being's emotional capacity over one great weekend.
Anyone can be great for a weekend.
Right. Everyone can wear a mask for 48 hours. You have to wait weeks or even months for the reality of their patterns to emerge. You are observing data.
Like how they treat a waiter.
Exactly. How do they handle a late waiter? If you give them minor, gentle feedback about a movie, do they get weirdly defensive? You have to sit back and observe how they navigate the world rather than projecting your fantasy onto them.
And the P, which honestly might be the hardest step to actually execute, is pace access. Specifically, pacing physical access.
Because the moment you introduce physical intimacy, you trigger a tsunami of dopamine and oxytocin.
Oh, right.
That chemical cocktail essentially erases the observed phase. Your clarity just vanishes, the biochemical addiction takes over, and that Kanye West distortion field activates. By consciously delaying physical access, you are literally protecting your brain's ability to evaluate the person objectively.
But as you start applying this M.O.P framework and healing your nervous system and actually raising your standards, Coffman warns that things are going to get worse before they get better.
They are.
You will enter what she calls the lonely chapter.
The lonely chapter is an inevitable phase of psychological growth.
Right.
As you heal and stop self-abandoning, you will face intense resistance, and not just from bad dating prospects. You will face resistance from your closest friends.
Oh, yeah.
They will subtly try to hand you your old costume to put back on.
Because your new boundaries disrupt their reality. It's exactly. Like if you were always the friend who dropped everything to listen to their drama, and suddenly you say, I can't talk tonight, I'm resting.
It forces them to recalibrate.
Right. And people fundamentally hate having to recalibrate their relationships.
Oh, they despise it. To survive the lonely chapter, you have to actively build your emotional capacity. You have to practice sitting on your couch, feeling the profound discomfort of someone being disappointed in you, and simply breathing through it without rushing to fix it.
It sounds so hard.
It is. And critically, you cannot overload your life with cortisol. If you're chronically stressed from a toxic job or poor sleep, you literally will not have the biochemical fuel required to hold a boundary or repair a conflict in a relationship.
Let's talk about holding that boundary, because intellectually, M.O.P makes perfect sense.
Sure.
But if I am a highly empathetic person sitting at a table on a date, and the person says something that crosses a line, my heart is going to race. My throat is going to close up. My nervous system is screaming at me to just smile, be polite, and avoid conflict. How do I actually enforce a boundary in that moment without feeling like the bad guy?
It requires a fundamental cognitive reframe of what a boundary actually is.
Okay.
A highly empathetic person views a boundary as a wall. They think, if I set a boundary, I am pushing a good person away and I am being mean.
Right. That's exactly how it feels.
But that is a trauma-induced distortion. A boundary does not push a person away. A boundary protects the relationship from your own future resentment.
So by speaking up, you're actually trying to save it.
Exactly. When you look at someone and say, hey, when you speak to me that way, it makes me want to withdraw, you're actively advocating for the connection to survive.
Wow.
You're giving them the instruction manual on how to love you. If you stay silent and swallow that anger, you are quietly abandoning the relationship.
You're just letting it rot.
Right. You are letting resentments build invisibly until the foundation rots and it inevitably collapses.
Yeah.
Setting a boundary is the most pro-relationship loving thing you can possibly do.
You aren't being mean. You are fighting for the survival of the connection. That just completely flips the script.
It changes everything.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started by mapping out how the hyper-fast architecture of modern dating apps actively rewards avoidant behavior and punishes those seeking a slow burn. We broke down the mechanics of the biochemical hijack, like how plummeting serotonin and spiking dopamine create a sensory overload that blinds our frontal lobe,
plunging us into that anxiety-fueled state of limerence that we culturally mistake for romance.
Exactly. We also unpacked the hidden physical cost of being too nice and how self-abandonment, often rooted in navigating unpredictable childhood environments, literally damages our immune systems. And finally, we explored how to reclaim our agency through the M.O.P framework, matching effort, observing data over time, and pacing physical access, while reframing our boundaries as tools for deep connection, not walls for separation.
It all comes back to diagnosing the actual problem.
Right.
You cannot navigate modern dating if you don't understand how the environment is manipulating your ancient biology.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you step back out into the world.
Oh, this is a good one.
Right now, society trains us to value highly observable metrics, right?
Yeah.
The prestigious job title, the square footage of a house, the undeniable physical attractiveness of a partner on our arm. But what if we flip the hierarchy? What would happen if we traded those observable metrics for hidden metrics?
I love that.
Things like the quality of your sleep, your baseline peace of mind when they aren't around. What if we started treating a deeply regulated, calm nervous system as the ultimate, most exclusive status symbol?
That changes the whole game.
And even deeper than that, think about the push-pull chaotic dynamic that you might be tolerating right now because the cortisol spikes feel like passion.
Right.
If the dynamic between you and your partner becomes the exact carbon copy model of love that your future children will adopt and internalize, are you unconsciously passing down your dysregulated butterflies as their inheritance?
Wow.
Take that thought with you. See you next time on The Deep Dive.